Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Kristine Kugler and I am about to start my second contract with Royal Caribbean on board the Ovation of the Seas in the theater cast. We have exactly 6 days until I'm leaving for rehearsals, which I'm so excited about, and I'm so happy that you guys are enjoying watching me prepare for this contract. I have so many video ideas for once I start my contract, but I was feeling a bit stumped this week because I still am kind of in the waiting period preparing for my contract. So I asked you guys on my Instagram story to help me come up with some video ideas, and you guys gave me some great suggestions. If you're not already, make sure you follow my Instagram so you can stay tuned and maybe participate next time I do something like that and ask for some help. I've spoken so much on this channel just about how much I love my job, how grateful I am for it, but today I want to talk about some things that I am specifically excited for on this contract. It's really going to bring you guys into my mind and what I'm thinking and planning for this next contract. Probably the one I'm the most excited about is an overnight, because normally we have to get back on board by a certain time and we always spend the night on the ship. But on an overnight, you don't technically have to come back on board, so we can rent a hotel or a resort or something and spend the night out wherever we are having our overnight at. I've heard stories about overnights and everyone loves overnights, and we never had one last contract. My last contract was on the Odyssey of the Seas, and we were supposed to have our only overnight in Tel Aviv, Israel, but because of the political climate, of course, it was safest if we did not port in Israel, and I completely understand, and I'm so happy that Royal Caribbean kept us safe, but that did lead to us never having an overnight that entire contract. I think we have 2 overnights that I know of in Noumea, New Caledonia, and in Hawaii. The reason I'm so excited about it is because the first time I'll ever have an overnight is in Noumea on my birthday. That is just like a God alignment. What are the chances that my first overnight are on my birthday? But I'm just looking forward to being able to spend my birthday with my cast on an overnight in an island I've never been to before. I'm just super excited about that. Also, my birthday is March 28th and I'll be 24. That is crazy. The second thing I'm the most excited about is finally being back in my happy place. I have a specific memory of from probably when I was back in high school and I went to see a therapist, and the therapist told me that once I get anxious or if I ever get stressed, I need to close my eyes and picture my happy place. It's a very common exercise to just imagine your happy place and then take in the senses. So think about what you're smelling, tasting, hearing in your happy place and just envisioning yourself there. And I kid you not, this was probably 10 years ago that I pictured my happy place to be laying on the top deck of a cruise ship. I picture hearing the waves, smelling maybe my sunscreen, the salty air. You know, I've always imagined my happy place being on a cruise ship and just laying out on the deck. And to imagine that I am gonna live somewhere again where I can just go upstairs and be in my happy place, that's just crazy to me. If I ever need to reset or recharge, you could definitely find me laying on the deck reading my book. Another thing I'm super excited about is meeting guests and crew. On my last ship, my YouTube was not very popular. I had maybe a couple hundred subscribers, but I still got super happy to meet a guest who has either watched my YouTube channel, or sometimes they had nothing to do with YouTube. They just watched the shows and recognized me as one of the dancers and started conversations with me. You can ask anyone in my last cast. I loved talking to guests. I love helping guests. I love customer service, and I just love interacting with the people who watch our shows, and many people ask questions and are so interested on crew life, and I love to have conversations and meet other guests from all over the world. Many of those conversations are so fulfilling and you learn so much about someone else's life. I also think it's so cool how we have crew from so many different departments and from all over the world, and it's always so interesting to meet people with different backgrounds and get to know them and get to know their culture. So yeah, I'm super excited for that once they get on the ship. Another thing I'm super excited for is to decorate my cabin. I don't know who my roommate is going to be yet on this contract, but my last contract, Caitlin and I decorated our cabin for Christmas. We just had it super cute. If you guys watched my cabin tour video, you guys know we were just 2 little girlies living our best college dorm life, and people loved coming to our cabin and seeing how cute it was. We did have one of the smallest cabins, but it's okay. And also in Bay Vista, which is the housing of when we are in rehearsals, I decorated my cabin with little lights and candles. At that time, my roommate was Holly, and I remember texting her and being like, you need to come to the room and see how cute it is. Like, I just love decorating a little room, and especially that we're gonna be there for Christmas. I may decorate for Christmas. I don't know. I just love making a space my own, and I feel like in such a small space it's almost easier to decorate because you don't need that much. As you can tell in my room, I do not have many decorations at all. I do have a cutie little bookshelf right here I decorated for fall. I have not decorated for winter because obviously I'm gonna leave so soon. My last thing I'm super excited for is being south of the equator. My family has always taught me the value of learning new cultures and traveling and just gaining new experiences all over the world. So travel has always kind of been a big part of my life, but I was very shocked to realize I have never been south of the equator. If you guys don't know, it's currently about to be winter in the United States, which means it's about to be summer in Australia. That is so wild to me. So then I am going to experience fall in Australia while it's spring here. That is so cool. I'm also so excited that we're gonna pass the equator because we have a crossing from Sydney, Australia to ending up in Seattle, but there's a whole long way to get there. I've never experienced being somewhere that has different seasons than where I'm from. So I am super excited to travel to just such a different side of the world that I don't know anything about, and I'm so excited to learn. I'm so excited to bring you guys along. I've gotten so many messages from people saying they've never been to New Zealand or they're from New Zealand and they just can't wait to see what I go explore and where I go. So I'm super excited to bring you guys along to that. All right, now the next part of the video, I want to talk about my contract goals. I did set some contract goals my last contract and I cannot find the notebook that I wrote them in. So it probably didn't do me any good, but also I didn't really know what I was walking into my first contract. So now that I kind of know what to expect from ship life, I've created some goals that I think are realistic and attainable, but also push me out of my comfort zone for this contract. The first goal is to go outside every day. This sounds very self-explanatory, but believe it or not, for crew, a lot of our quarters and everything we do is down below on deck 2. And besides a porthole here and there, we really don't see outside unless you prioritize it. And it is way easier than you think to not see sunlight for a few days at a time. This is something I tried to prioritize my last contract, but yeah, it's something that I just want to keep in mind, to always try to see sunlight at least once a day and go outside, get some fresh air, see the waves myself, even if it's just for 5 minutes to step outside and get some fresh air. I think it's very important. My next goal is to take 5 walks a week. So when we get off at ports, we are walking all the time, so that one's kind of included. But if we are not at a port and we are having a sea day, I would love to prioritize taking more walks on the track. I realized how much it benefited me just to keep me active if I wasn't going to the gym that day, or again just to get outside, listen to a podcast, listen to some music, spend time by yourself, or walk with friends and have a conversation. I think it's super fun and I definitely want to prioritize that more this contract. My third goal is to journal more. Now, I kind of tried to journal last contract, but I definitely did not journal as much as I wanted to or expected of myself. I need to start sitting down right after I have an experience and write it down, because obviously a few days later, I don't have the same memory as I do that day. And I love going back and seeing my journal entries from the different places I've traveled, the different days that I've had and spent with my friends. I've been trying to prioritize it more in just my normal life, so I definitely want to prioritize it once I'm on the ship and starting my contract. I have a journal entry from the first time we all went out together as a cast during rehearsals in Miami last contract, and I look back at that journal entry all the time because it was one of the first bonding experiences we all had, and I started to learn everybody's names and everyone started to get to know each other, and it is so cool to see now looking back. Those people are some of my best friends and some of my favorite connections I've ever made. I think journaling is so important so that you can always look back and show your kids one day. The next goal is to save. I've talked about this before, but ship life is so attractive because you really don't have that many expenses, especially not as many expenses as you would have when you're living on land. And you're able to save up so much money because, again, you don't have to pay rent, you don't have to pay for food if you don't want to. So you don't have a lot of living expenses as you would have once you're on land. So it is very easy to save, but it's also very easy to spend if you're not careful. I don't ever want to be super strict on myself and restrict myself from experiences or things that I want to do, but I always just want to stay conscious and make sure that I'm saving my money and I'm not splurging on anything that I don't need. My next goal is to go on a hike. For the itinerary and the ports we're going to be at, I've heard there's so many mountains, there's trails, so I'm sure this will be accomplished at some point because I love being outdoors and I love going for walks, but I do want to try a hike and maybe ask my friends who have been to those ports already to see the best ones, places to go. So yeah, I just want to take a hike. This one, I am really going to prioritize this contract, is watching one sunrise a week. This one's gonna be a bit harder because obviously sunrise is so early in the morning, but there is nothing like watching a sunrise on the water. Like, talk about happy place, that is my happy place. It is so beautiful. It's a time to just reflect. There's not many guests on the deck, so it's very easy to just like have a quiet morning and watch the sunrise. I definitely want to do that at least once a week. The hard thing is that on the ship, because we don't have windows in our cabin, you sleep the best you'll ever sleep in your life. I'm telling you, balconies are amazing when you're a guest, but if you've ever had an inside cabin, I'm sure you understand. With the rocking of the waves and the darkness, like, you never sleep as good as you would sleep in one of those cabins. So it is hard to get up in the mornings, but I am going to try to prioritize to watch the sunrise, I mean. Another goal I have for myself is to have more self-port days. Some of my most treasured memories and most healing I've ever done was when I was traveling by myself. And as much as I love spending the day with friends, sometimes I do need to recharge and just re-energize myself and go for a walk by myself, go explore by myself. So I definitely want to create that as more of a habit this contract. And yeah, just not be afraid to go travel by myself with safety in mind, of course. This one I'm kind of scared about. It's to take a cold plunge. We are going to be in colder climates, so I'm a bit nervous because I'm not great with the cold, but I feel like you have to do it. If you're in Alaska and you see a river, you have to just plunge and go in. I'm probably gonna need someone else to do this with me, but I just wanna do it once to say I've done it. Do a little polar plunge. My next goal is to create a routine. Now, I am not a routine-oriented person at all. I'm very spontaneous, very go with the flow. I do not depend on routines ever. I think the last time I had a routine was probably high school or college. I mean this more in habits, just having a daily routine of habits like my skincare and eating healthy, taking care of myself. I want to stay consistent in those things and create a healthy balance and routine with my daily habits. Another one is watch more sunsets. During the sunset time is usually a tricky time because if we have shows, then we are definitely getting ready for our shows at that point. If it's a sea day, that's usually when we're having dinner, and I never really think to go outside and watch the sunset. I have friends who would always take a walk at that time and watch the sunset. And again, it was one of those things that I didn't really realize until the end of my contract, just how special those moments are. It's super easy to just stay downstairs, stay stuck in your cabin, but I do just want to prioritize being in nature, seeing outside, seeing God's beautiful earth, and if I'm lucky enough to be in those environments, I want to appreciate them as much as I can. All right, this one's gonna be a bit tough for me, but it's to find appreciation for the cold. If you guys don't know, I'm from Miami. I'm a beach girl at heart. I also lived in the South for about 9 years of my life, where it also doesn't snow. It's very, very hot, very humid. I am just not a great person in the cold. I've seen snow 3 times. One time, it was a miraculous day. It snowed for about an hour where I lived in the South. It never snows there, so it was an anomaly. It was a little flurry and everything shut down for a week. The second time, I got trapped in a blizzard in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, so that was kind of funny. Number 3, I went to Chicago and it wasn't snowing while I was there, but there was snow everywhere. I like to think I'm a fairly adaptable person. That's a quality that I love about myself. But when I talk to my friends from like Ohio and they're talking about snow scrapers for their car, I have no idea what they're talking about. I didn't know what salt on the roads was for until fairly recently in my life. So let's just say I'm not very cultured in cold environments. But again, because I'm adaptable, I want to find that balance and learn to appreciate the cold and appreciate that weather, find the beauty in it, because I am just not that person. I've honestly been in summer mode for 2 years straight because we have very mild winters where I live, and then I was in the Caribbean last winter. So anyways, I've just had warm weather around me for so long. I felt a bit breezy when I went to London in the fall, but it still, I know, was not as cold as it gets there. I've had too much warm weather. Maybe it'll help me adapt better to cold weather. Another goal, and this one's gonna be fairly soon, but it's to leave space for shopping while I pack. I get many DMs and questions from people asking what I would do differently, what I would pack differently from my last contract, and to be completely honest, I will give myself credit where it sees fit, but I think I packed pretty well last contract. Of course, you're always gonna over or underpack at least a little bit, but for my first contract, I think I did pretty well. Of course, I know what to do better this time around, but the one thing I would do a little bit differently is to leave some space for shopping. I didn't really take that into account last time, but I do want to just leave some space so that if I want to shop, I'm not afraid to buy things because I have space. So it's always better to have as much space as possible. Packing video coming soon, guys, don't you worry. Another goal I have for myself is to make more friends outside of the cast. Believe it or not, even though we're on board for a long time, for a first contract, it takes quite a while to get the ropes and kind of get used to ship life and be comfortable. And it's always easier to stay in your comfort zone, I mean, in every aspect of life. It's not uncommon that many of the performers stick with the cast because we have 6 weeks of rehearsals before we get to the ship. We all live and work together. It's very common that we all stick together very often, but I would just love to push myself out of my comfort zone a little bit and meet people in different departments. I did have friends in different departments, but I would just love to reach out of my comfort zone in that sense a bit more and not just stick with the comfort zone of the people I'm around all the time. Just make as many friends as possible. Another thing is to make more TikToks. Now, if there's one platform of social media that I am terrible at using, is TikTok. I honestly will not go on TikTok for months at a time, which is great, and it is very hard to get that Wi-Fi once you're on the ship anyways. But if I do want to start creating content on YouTube, I feel like TikTok is a great way to outreach and find an audience there as well. Surprisingly, making long form YouTube videos is easier for me than making short form content, so I would just love to work on that skill of mine, do little days in my life and things like that I could post on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikToks. So we'll see if I do that. I'm not really sure. I love making YouTube videos and that's going to be my priority, but if I do have time, I would love to explore making more short form content on TikTok. All right, my last goal that I've written down for myself is to reach 30,000 subscribers by the end of my contract. I know everyone says this, but to be completely honest, I do not care about the numbers. The amount of subscribers I have does not have a direct effect to my life at all. But what this goal means to me is that I'm gonna be consistent through making my videos, working hard, and continue growing my channel. And subscribers is just growing the community of users that watch your channel and watch your content. The big thing with this is just being consistent, and it's very, very hard to do that once you're on the ship because of the Wi-Fi. If you know any cruise ship content creators, give them a round of applause because it is 10 times harder to post content on the ship than when you are on land. It can even be hard to edit videos because finding music online takes Wi-Fi, and just so many things you don't even think of are very hard to access on the ship. Subscriber growth is really cool for gaining new opportunities and having brands reach out to you and things like that. I'm really not in it for the numbers. I really created that goal to just remind myself to stay consistent and continue growing with this channel. But yeah, I also think that's a fairly realistic goal with the rate that my channel is growing at, which I'm so thankful for. When I first wanted to be a cruise ship dancer, there was very, very few YouTube channels or honestly any information out there for the job that I have. And there are so many creators out there who work on cruise ships, but again, not in my department and exactly what I do. So being able to share that and being able to help other people who maybe want this job one day or are currently pursuing this job and just need some help, that makes me so happy and motivates me to make more videos. Again, this is the start of a brand new chapter. I thank you guys for watching this video. If you've gotten to this point, comment an ocean emoji. If you have any questions, you can always comment them down below. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Click that bell so you're notified every time I make a post. Make sure you follow my Instagram so you stay tuned on where I am in the world and what is coming up next. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having the very best day, and thank you so much for supporting and watching my channel. I'm truly so grateful. See you soon.